Hi, my name is Eric Cruz, and I am a results leader and the president and the founder of the Cruz Consulting Group.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and chief results leader, Jonathan Rivera.
You are listening to ResultsLeader.fm. So glad you are here. And today, I'm going to bring you one of my favorite interviews to date. And this really, it not only speaks to the caliber of guests that we're getting, but it speaks to the power of our team who is out there getting these amazing guests so that we can have these interviews for you. And this one goes a little bit long, I think, but really, Eric Cruz was totally awesome, generous, made me laugh. He is the owner of Cruz Consulting, a management consulting firm built by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. And he talks about scaling. He talks about growth. He talks about failure and making those failures turn into amazing successes. Let's jump into the interview. Eric, my man, welcome to the show. What's good in your world, brother?
Oh, lots of stuff going on, Jonathan. Lots of great stuff in the business. Exciting stuff. Good to be having the world getting back to a better version of normal, and businesses going well. SMBs are doing well all across the United States. So all's good.
Excellent. So let us jump into what we have for our listeners today, and we want to deliver a quick win. So what book or books have you given most as a gift?
Oh, that's a great question. So How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably the biggest book that I recommend on a regular basis. Most life-changing book for me. I love the book. I believe it's called Measure What Gets Done, book about OKRs. I love that book about objectives and key results. But, How to Win Friends and Influence People, I get that question a lot. What's the most influential book? And How to Win Friends and Influence People is always number one.
That is Dale Carnegie. How did you find out about that book?
That's a good question. I think I was just in a period of time when I was reading a bunch of books, and it just spoke to me. I was doing a lot of training. And the message of the book is basically that life is about everybody else around you. So it changed my entire business philosophy, changed my way of selling, changed my way of doing business, and changed my way of managing. It basically taught me that it's all about aligning yourself with people who are, in terms of management, align yourself with people that are wanting to get what you want from their positions, and so that you can basically focus on them winning. With clients, don't just focus on features and benefits. Focus on making sure that talk about them and what they want, and it changed how I do business completely across the board.
It sounds like it, brother. So let's go into one of my favorite topics, failure. And the question here is, how has an apparent failure set you up for later success?
That's a big question, Jonathan. I've had some big ones.
Haven't we all?
I've had some big ones. So I'm an entrepreneur. I've owned multiple businesses and had some big successes and some big doozies. And so my life I've done a lot of my learning. I just turned 50 years old. I've done a lot of my learning kind of by hitting guardrails and going from one extreme to the other. So I built a very fast growing large construction business 15 years ago. We grew it extremely quickly. We were building restaurants and retail all over the United States, honestly. And the reality was, just to make a long story short, we were good at selling it. We were good at doing it. We weren't great at making money at it. And we got to the point where I think we lost about $2 million in 2 years. I was deeply in debt. A lot of the money I had, I had another company at the time that was thriving. So I lost a lot of cash, and I lost a lot of money I didn't have as well. And my accountant said, please put this company into bankruptcy. And I didn't want to do it. So we rode that thing out. I made good with the people that we owed money to. I had to negotiate a lot of deals, but I stuck with it, kept both companies afloat. And it really, what it taught me was, we were doing a lot of business at that time. And I was really just trying to grow. And the lesson I learned out of that experience was, one, at one point we were building like 40 some restaurants at once all across the country. And I learned that it's really all about focusing on one thing at a time, one restaurant, one client, one whatever. Make sure that's awesome, and that your growth will come from focusing on that one thing and doing amazing at that. And then that'll keep just growing. If you focus on just constantly growing without focusing on the quality of what you're doing, you're going to have a problem. So that taught me that. So ever since I've gone the businesses I've done since that point in time, I've learned to focus on, are we doing amazing at the thing that we're doing? Because if we're not doing amazing at the thing that we're doing, the service itself, all the business consulting crap you stick on top of that, which we do for a living, is worthless. You have to be providing amazing value at what you're doing. And that company, we were just layering a lot of great management stuff on it. And it was great and it was growing. But at the core, it wasn't a great construction company. And ever since then, I've always said, even now, we're growing the consulting company, it's growing very quickly. But we had a big meeting this morning about our growth plans. And the reality is, I said, we cannot grow any faster than we're making our individual clients extremely happy. Once our clients think that we have 300 clients and they care about that, instead of them thinking that they're the only client to us, we've lost our way. So I learned that lesson from that. I got another one. This is not good. No bueno. This is a bad one. This is a not good one. And this taught me the most important lesson I've ever learned about business. And it's also taught me what kills companies the most. And it happened to me. So in my collegiate business, probably some of this is probably confidential, honestly, but I'm going to go with it anyway. We had a situation where, the collegiate business, we have this collegiate entrepreneurs company. We teach college kids how to run businesses. Actually, I'm selling the business right now to a longtime employee. And we've worked with 10,000 plus employees in that company. It's been a great business. But when the lead paint, that company teaches college kids how to run painting businesses for the summer. So we use the painting business to teach them how to do this thing. But the lead paint laws changed and we had some compliance issues, and we had a lot of employees in the summertime. And basically what happened was, honestly, we just didn't have we got into some issues with doing a project the wrong way. And that was a problem. We didn't follow the rules. We had a lot of employees. We weren't following the rules. And we had to submit this paperwork, which my controller was supposed to be doing. And we were assuming that this person was following all these rules. And I found out later that we got in trouble by the government, big trouble. We got investigated. And I won't even go into all the details, but it snowballed into becoming a really big deal. The government came into our office. We got SWAT raided.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was big. It was a mess. I thought they wouldn't tell me. They were doing a massive investigation. I didn't know what it was. I thought we had some lead paint issues, but I don't know what this investigation was. They wouldn't communicate to me. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney's bills. I really thought I was going to get in trouble, being arrested at some point. They wouldn't tell me there wasn't personal liability, and they wouldn't tell me what the problem was. And it went on for years. Eventually, when I found out that we never proved who it was, someone submitted a bunch of forged documents to the government.
Oh, dear.
In the investigation. So what I found out later was that what we thought was just a regular lead paint issue, which we were already worried about. The government said, yeah, that's not the actual issue. When you submitted all your forms to us, they were forged. And we were all shocked. This was 2 years into the investigation. And they said, we've learned it wasn't you. We know it wasn't you. We know it wasn't. We think we know who it was. And I won't talk about, they never really figured out who it was. They let us off the hook on that part of it. The company got in trouble over it. But the bottom line is, what I learned from that situation, it was a big lesson, is that on our team, and I won't go into specifics, we had some ego issues on our leadership team, and people that were basically constantly saying they had everything covered and all the stuff was being done right. We just assumed, all right, well, I guess you're right. They would never admit to doing anything wrong, and they'd always tell us, you guys are the compliance problems. And we knew it was a problem. They wouldn't admit they were wrong. And eventually, the issue was our compliance department became the problem. So the company, the part of the company that would not admit that they were ever doing anything wrong, was the actual problem. So they were the distraction. So they created this distraction around this. And, I had a partner in the business, and the lesson I learned for leadership teams is the number one killer of companies. We work with 60 companies right now, all different sizes. Number one killer is ego, and it's across the board. Companies that are doing well, they have very open and honest dialogue. Especially the senior leadership team level. If there's an issue, there's vulnerability. A great leadership team is very vulnerable people. They're very quick to say, it's my issue, I'll deal with it. And the faster a team can get to that level of trust and to have that fast communication on a senior level, the faster the company grows. We didn't have that. We had this issue where we had parts of our company that we thought were okay, but there was really a lot of ego. It's fine, don't worry about us. And that ended up being the issue. The thing we weren't worried about actually ended up being the issue and took 5 years off of my business career and put me in a very bad place. But I learned a tremendous lesson from that as well. And now anytime I see anybody on a leadership team or in my own companies or the companies we work with that's not being vulnerable, where they're really protecting themselves or they're being political, I go to either my other team members or I go to the company and I say, it's a problem. We need to solve that problem or that person needs to not be here, because that's where the company stops growing. And when I work with companies to help them grow, one of the biggest things we do is try and create free-flowing communication and that the companies skyrocket. And then when there's issues and people are quick to volunteer, whether they say, it's my fault, I'm stuck, I'm at too high at a level, or I made that mistake, it allows the company to maneuver and continue to grow up. And when the companies can't do that, they stop. It's the inability for companies to do that is the number one reason we've had problems scaling businesses.
Wow.
And I learned that from having my own problems. So it's terrible.
Yeah, man. Wow. Thank you. That's some real sharing right there. Real vulnerability. I appreciate that, brother. So let's get into investments, and let's talk about what you would say, Eric, is the most worthwhile investment you have ever made.
So it's interesting. I have a great business coach myself, and he always, would tell me, he always say, Eric, you're too cheap. You think like a poor person. That's what he's always telling me. You're too cheap. And what I learned, and I didn't know at the time what that meant. When you have a great coach, sometimes they tell you this stuff and you're like, whatever, I don't even understand what the hell that means. I learned what that meant over time. What he was basically saying was he would say, look, I know you're trying to save money. You're trying to maximize your net profitability by saving expenses. Problem is that your blindness in trying to always increase your net profit is preventing you from investing into your business. So what I've learned is that my best investments have been made in people that are the required people that need to be, an organization needs to get it to the next level. So that can sometimes be in the right operating officer, or it can be in the right CFO, or the right VP of sales, or whatever it is. And they're expensive, and they're way more than anybody else ever thinks. Everybody always thinks that a senior person costs $150. Sure, if you're trying to do $7 million, but if you're trying to do $50 million, they cost way more than that. So there's this inability for people to understand how wages scale up to what companies are trying to actually grow to. We actually built some tools around this. So what I've learned is if you're really trying to go for it, you have to invest in amazing people, because most of the problems that companies have are because they don't have the right who. There's a great book on that, Who, Not How. They don't have the right who's to solve the, you got it, right? Yeah. Dan Sullivan, right?
That's right.
The who, not how, that's the problem. So what I've learned is if I'm in a room and I'm hearing a problem over and over again, it's about sales, or it's about marketing, or it's about ops, and that problem keeps coming up quarter after quarter, usually it's the ops leader or it's the sales leader, because that's who owns the problem. Now, most companies that are not good at trust, they're not going to have that conversation. So they just have it. The team gets into this collaborative solving thing. And I always joke, I'm like, when did you all become sales experts? The issue is that we don't have the right person running the sales function, the right person running the ops function. So I go to teams and they'll always say, we can't afford that next level. And I say, then we can't afford to grow the company. So the investments that I've made that have gotten me to the next level are the ones that are scary, that I often do them fractionally because I can't afford the whole boat. So I'll pull, a COO for 50 grand for 1 day a week or something like that, or maybe a CFO for 75 grand for a couple of days a week. But I know that I need that talent. And, once you get that rhythm of where am I in my growth and what level of team do I need, and you learn to make those investments, your company will grow in direct proportion that you're able to make those investments.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Wow. And that tip there, I don't know if you guys heard what he just said, but when he can't afford them, he gets them fractionally. What a tip. That is gold right there. And I'm sure people will gloss right over that, but that was beautiful. So let's talk about the last 5 years and what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life.
In the last 5 years, habits most, that's a great question. That's another great question. Yeah, you're good at this stuff. So I guess when you do it constantly, you get good at it, right? You're good at it. So that's a great question. And I have an answer to that. Once again, learning from my mistakes, something I'm not good at. I'm lucky I get to run companies that are my own, and I get to consult companies that are not my own. I spend most of my day learning, which is really, it's a gift. I'm extremely lucky. You probably do too. I'm extremely lucky. So what I learned is the companies that are really scaling, my assumption was always that these really fast scaling companies were just good at making great decisions and they were good at figuring out what was next. What I learned is it's not true. What they're really good at is making decisions, period, often them being the wrong decision, and then iterating to what is the next best decision from there. So what we've learned is constantly just to try stuff for X finite periods of time, see if it works, be totally fine if it doesn't, and then go to the next version of thing that we need to do next. And that has been huge. So there's a great expression that perfection is the enemy of the entrepreneur. That's been my whole life prior to actually going into consulting, because I was always like, I got to have the answers. I got to have the answers. Now I realize as a consultant, you really don't need to have any of the answers. You just need to make sure that the conversation keeps flowing in an upward direction. So you're looking for what is the best we have? Great, let's try it. Let's give it 90 days. Let's go to the next best thing we have after that. And then eventually you hit it. So these companies that are growing fast, and I work with companies that are going extremely fast, they're just constantly failing very, very, very quickly and going to that next level of answer. And I've learned to get much better at that. I used to be a brooder. I still am to some degree. I would sit there and try and think, what's the answer? I'd stare at a wall. Now I've learned don't do that. Now I call a team and I'm like, I got a major issue. I have no idea what the problem is. I only have a clue. I just know where we need to go. I know where we are. And then that's all I got. What do you guys have? And then that free flowing, that whiteboard conversation goes way bigger than me at that point. So that's what I learned.
Yeah, man. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Oh, that's a good question. So bad recommendations. Oh, that's a good question. It's interesting because although we're at a consulting company, I can't stand consultants. So, except for ours that work for us, of course. So they're listening. You, I love. So consultants as a whole, they don't tend to have a lot of accountability because they don't get paid if you're successful. Like they get paid just for existing. They charge a fortune. So they get into what I call consultant speak, which is like, there's these Yoda things that they like to say. I can't stand it. I try and avoid saying them myself, but they just give these little things. And it's like these statements that I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but how do we translate that? So the types of stuff that I hear that are not good are missing the big picture on how companies really grow. So we just wrote an article about it actually in our last blog. So it's very simple to read a bunch of business books and focus on, studying a lot of great people. And you say, well, I want to run a great company like Amazon, or, I watched the special last night on Netflix on the WeWork guy, which was interesting. And they say, well, that person runs a great company. So then they go into the business books and they're like, okay, so I'm going to put the right people in the right seats. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And they think, so then I'm going to be fine. And my response is, no, your operations are going to be fine. But the people that you're emulating there, they didn't get there because they run a great operational company. They got there because they had great ideas and the right strategy at the right time. And then they had other people who you don't even know run this great company underneath of all that. So I love the business books and I love all this stuff. We teach it. I love that book you just showed. I love the stuff that we try and help companies. But I always tell our consulting team, I tell our clients, we're going to help you get operationally strong, and that may get you some good organic growth. But if we're not positioned with some uniqueness about our company, we're not addressing a problem in the market, and we don't know who our sector is, and we're not really trying to do something to solve a problem, then we're a commodity. And we can be a commodity. If we want to be a commodity, that's fine. If you know you're a commodity, that's fine. Then we have to be price competitive, and we have to spend a lot of money on marketing. We got nothing else going for us. Because running a great company, it's not enough. So you got to have a thing that you layer in. It's usually strategy that most people don't like to think about. And a lot of people that are great operations people, they just kind of discount strategy. They're like, that's distracting. This strategy people are crazy. Yes, all those people are crazy. The WeWork guy's out of his mind. Like he's nuts. But he changed the sector of the world. Elon Musk, nuts. Steve Jobs, an asshole, right? These things are confirmed. But they're extremely good at thinking about what they needed to do to get their company to be strategically set up to solve problems in the world. And the better you can do that, that's where you actually make a lot of money, and that's where you actually grow a big company. operational strength, all these business books in the world, they'll get you to run a great business. They may even get you organic growth. You're not going to blow it out of the park doing that, though. Not unless you're strategically set up.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we're about to get into the fun part of the interview where we talk about results. But first, I have to ask you, what questions do you have? What thoughts do you have? What are your big takeaways from this episode? Drop them on social media. Share the show. Use hashtag ResultsLeaderFM, and I'll be out there looking for your comments, looking for your questions, looking for your encouragement. Now let's get back into the show. Now we are going to get into what everybody's really here for. That was just the appetizer. Now it's time to get into the business. Why do results matter?
So there's lots of different kinds of results that can be gotten. I mean, in my opinion, I'm a very results-oriented person. Okay, so and our company very deliberately, after much argument, our consulting company focuses on 3 metrics. We focus on revenue growth, net profit growth, and asset value. We focus on making sure your company is actually financially strong. It's worth something. It's not, some companies aren't. If they're just cash flow companies, that's okay too. If a company's, they just have to know that that's what the company is, so you don't expect to have this big exit. But our goal is to maximize those things. So the reason we've chosen, and we do other stuff. So the argument internally is, yeah, we also have them have better lives, and we try and get them, go on vacation for millions of days a year. And true. The only way I can do that, though, is that they make a lot of money. So, and if you don't, the only way you can make a lot of money is you have to be good at execution and getting results. Because to get money, you're getting it from somebody. It's like money's a transfer thing. It's a constant battle. You're getting money from somebody who doesn't want to give it to you. You have to provide value back. So it's a constant friction game. So you have to have people that are extremely results oriented, and you have to have a company that's results oriented, or you won't win that game of getting the money from people's hands into your wallet. So
I love it. Because that's how you get paid.
We work with a lot of education companies, right? And I love education companies. I've gotten very close to them, and I've taken a while to understand them. Because education companies can't, on the outside, they're going to say they can't stand making money. Like they're like, I'm evil. I'm like the king capitalist evil person that they work with, and they have no choice. But what I've learned with education companies is they have tremendous caring. The good ones have tremendous caring about students. Like they really genuinely are that. And I work with some amazing changing the world type education companies. But even them, ultimately, when it comes down to it, they're like, Eric, we need to make more money. And I say, yeah, I know you do. Because to change the world, you got to make more money. So ultimately what we found is what you do with cash, we have companies that give away all their money, which I think is phenomenal. Companies that change the world in other ways, but we focus on getting results, because if you get results usually lead to profitability, which allows you to do all the things that change the world that you actually want to do. So we've chosen that battle, and then our clients do what they want to with what they earn from, their stuff. So for us, it's a results game. We charge in different ways. We're starting to invest a lot in the companies that we work with too, because we want to be results accountable. And, so to us, we're a consulting company, but by definition, if we actually cut clients, because I think we're not a good investment for them. If we're not providing ROI, I don't like taking their dollars. So
rare these days. So let's go back and think again. In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
So I've had a couple big realizations. One was the whole strategy thing I talked about earlier, which is just that running a great business is just not enough. It's what are we going to do? What are we going to do to really to fit ourselves into the market a little better? It's a big realization for me. Another big one, though, is finance. So we created a finance offering for our clients, outsource CFO, outsource bookkeeping, outsource accounting, all that stuff. But more important than that, because there's a lot of companies that do that, we created a set of tools, 8 or 9 tools total, that we think every small business needs to use. And they're basic. It's like a 3-year planning tool, a month-to-month budgeting tool, but nobody has them. So we go into companies, especially our own companies that we consult with, and I don't like to sell them stuff if they don't need it. But what I'm shocked by It's funny, I'm shocked by it, but I didn't have it either. So my thing I learned is, what we provided is, if you want to leverage your business the best possible way, you've got to focus on having a strong financial plan. It links back to your finances. So if you're trying to get results, we install operating systems in companies, and that's very useful to have an operating system. But finance is a great place to start, because if you have a great 3-year financial plan, which is what we try and do by month, and you're trying to get your business to be X size, we plan it out by month. By coming up with that 3-year financial plan, it drives all of your operational goals for the next 3 years. So what we've learned is start with finances, make sure your plan looks good, and then work backwards from there.
Excellent. All right, we're going to go internal for a second here. What area of your business would you like better results?
Oh, another good question. So our issue right now is about scale. So the question is how much do we want to scale our business? And that's a question. Most companies that we work with, I'll ask that question. The answer is always the same. I want to grow as big as possible. I want to be $50 million. And they don't quite understand. I've run businesses those sizes. They don't quite understand. There's sacrifices and there's difficulties that come with that. And they always say, I want to make more money. Yeah, at the expense of what? And most of the time they don't. They want to make a couple $100,000, $300,000, $400,000, whatever. They don't really want to go for the big numbers. Our company right now is in a situation where we probably are going to try and grow it nationally, but that's scary. And that's a scary proposition. And I know that's scary. I've lived it. And to do that, we will need to spend a significant amount of dollars in marketing. And I hate marketing, honestly. Can't stand it. Marketers, please work on being more accountable out there if you're listening. I can't stand it. I respect the profession a great deal. It's very fluffy. I'm a results-based person. So marketing's not. Like what you're doing, I find extremely valuable. Are we going to get leads in this? Maybe we won't. Doesn't matter. It's an important thing because it's in the background. It helps companies grow. So we invest in stuff like this and we do stuff like this internally. So I have to have a plan where I have valuable stuff like this linked to other stuff across the country, brand recognition, click campaigns are going to cost me a large amount of money and it's scary. And we're debating right now whether we can do that. So the answer to your question is we need to get better at marketing and having the strong function for marketing in our company. And, it's a scary venture, but I don't think we're going to be able to dip our toe into it. It's going to be something we're going to have to go for.
You got to go all in. Yeah, man. So now let's talk about what results you are most proud of.
Oh yeah. So that is, so, I should start by saying, if you haven't figured it out by the end of this podcast already, I don't have any actual skills other than.
I love it.
It's true. I don't. So the skills that I have, I guess, is coaching and running the business, I guess, is a skill. I guess I'm good at running the business. I'm good at delegating and all that stuff. But you nailed me down. And I'm good at selling stuff. I'm good at selling large projects. I'm good at bringing on key players for companies. But that's like specific stuff. So my accomplishments are all from my team and they're from my clients. So I have great teams. We have 3 companies that I own directly. All they're very different. We have a commercial painting business that just hit 530, I think, on the Inc. 5000 last year, which I was proud of. We didn't expect it. We almost broke the Inc. 500, actually. It's a great team of people that I'm extremely proud of. The collegiate business, we've had, I say over 10,000. We've had many, many thousands of branch managers that have gone through it. We had, in the coaching business, we've had major exits in the past few years that have changed people's lives. Been very humbling to even be involved in. So, I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of people that are doing a lot of winning. And every day I wake up and I'm grateful to be even a part of it. So we have had some great exits. I have a client now that we took on about a year plus ago. They end up listening to this, which they probably will because they listened to all of our stuff. I almost didn't take him as a client because they were so dysfunctional and now they're the opposite. And I even called some of the internal people. I'm like, I don't think I can work with you guys. Like, you're a disaster. And they listened, and it's a very humbling experience. So we have a lot of that going on right now. Our clients are doing a lot of winning. COVID was very tough, for the world. It was tough. We went immediately into the mode of cutting expenses with our clients. We started working for about a month straight, very long days, individual phone call to individual phone call. Clients like, oh, it's going to be fine. We're going to cut this. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not. You're going to cut all of this. And laid off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, but they did it and they shrunk revenue and they got stronger, and they listened. And we've had no companies that are not going to make it through COVID, and most of them are coming out stronger, partially helped thanks to the government also. But so a lot of people listen to us, and it's very gratifying to see it. I'm grateful. I always tell people you got to take the job at the top extremely seriously because people don't need to listen to you. It's not actually a requirement. If you have kids, that's the truth. Employees aren't much different. So ours tend to listen to us and they get a lot of wins. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of our own internal companies. And I'm also really proud of our clients and a lot of stuff that they've done. But besides the big exits we've had recently, I'm most proud of the companies that I look at them and I'm like, you are a complete mess, like I have been. And I just say, and I've learned to say, here's what you need to do. And then they do it. And it's extremely rewarding. It's just, those are the best. So
love it, man. So I have no doubt that the results leaders listening right now will want more from you. Where can they go?
They can go to cruiseconsultinggroup.com and learn all about us. We are a soup to nuts consulting company for SMBs. We can't find any other companies that really do what we do. Most people are intelligent enough not to stick to the SMB space. They go into the bigger companies. But our goal is to become like the Deloitte for small, medium-sized businesses. So our target market is really $2 million up to $50 million in that range. We do work with some very large businesses also, and we work with some very small businesses. But 2 to 50 million is our range. We help them by installing an operating system. We have a great operating system that focuses on operations, strategy, and finance. We can combine all those things together into one operating system. And we help them the entire journey. So some companies we just help with just an operating system. Some companies use us to help them with their finances. We help them with their marketing. And ultimately, we may help them with their exits and we help them with their positioning to achieve that. And then even their wealth management. We have partners in all those. But our goal is to help our clients live their ideal lives, whether they're small and trying to get big or whether they're medium trying to get large. That's what we do. And as a person who's been an entrepreneur my whole life, our company's goal is to help entrepreneurs not feel so lonely and to feel like they have a company they can talk to about pretty much everything that they need. So we're also a help first company. We help many companies at no cost. If people have troubles, if they are in bad spots like we have been, like I have been, and they've been through some of the craziness, they should reach out and we will make sure they get help. If they can ever afford to use us, great. If they can't, that's also fine. We really want to be here for the SMBs and make their journey a little less lonely and increase the chances of success.
Beautiful. We will have links to everything in the show notes. Eric, it has been a total pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for the laughs as well. Very rare. I appreciate that. And Results Leader, thank you for tuning in. We will be back in your earbuds next time. That is a wrap. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.